My dear students, I welcome you all to my educational channel. The name of my educational channel is Priyankar Dotto. In this educational channel, you will find video presentations on English language and literature of school level, college level, as well as of competitive examinations. Now, today's assignment is a video presentation on the poem entitled On Killing a Tree. The name of the poet is Gib Patel. The topics to be covered in this video presentation are discussion of stanza 3 of this poem, word notes of this stanza, and the paraphrase of this stanza. Now, let us move to the next page to look at the text and to listen to the discussion of this stanza. This stanza, that is the third stanza of the poem, has a dramatic opening. It begins with a sense of negation. The word with which this stanza opens is no. That is, at the very outset of this stanza, the poet denies something. Now the question is, what does the poet deny? The poet denies the effectiveness of the earlier methods of killing a tree. The methods, as we have found out in the first two stanzas of the poem, are giving a simple jab of the knife to the stem of the tree, and the second one is hacking the stem and chopping this hacked part. These are the two methods, the effectiveness of which is negated by the poet. By negating the effectiveness of these two methods, the poet is trying to make a new attempt, a refreshed attempt at killing the tree. So from the stem, the focus changes to that part of the tree which is hidden under the soil, and this part is the root with which the second line of this stanza opens. The poet says the root is to be pulled out. So the verb pulled out involves a sense of exerting power. The third line continues the idea expressed in the second line. Here the poet says, out of the anchoring earth. So the root has to be dragged out. Pulled out means dragged out, taken out forcibly. Out of the earth. The word earth here does not mean the world. The word earth here implies soil. I have mentioned this particular meaning of this word earth also in the first stanza of the poem. I have deliberately omitted an important word from this third line while discussing the significance of this line, and the word is anchoring. Now I shall focus on this word. This is a very important word. The word anchoring here is an adjective. It qualifies the noun earth, meaning soil. Now I shall go deep into the implication of this word, that is anchoring. You must keep in mind that the word anchoring has been formed from the word anchor. Now you should know what the word anchor means. An anchor is actually a I sorry an a rod of iron at a part of which or at an end of which there are several forks. Those forks are meant to get into the soil and to be there. At another part of the anchor, there is a hook. Within that hook, a strong rope is passed, and the other end of the rope is tied to a boat or ship. An anchor is obviously put or ingrained in the soil, and the boat or ship which is attached to this anchor by virtue of the strong or stout rope remains floating or floated on the water. So an anchor actually helps a boat or a ship to float on the shallow water of the sea or river without being carried away further from the shore. Here, the root of the tree is compared to an anchor. An anchor helps a ship or a boat to remain steady even on water. Similarly, the root helps the tree, rather the topmost part of the tree. The top, by the word topmost part, I mean the part of the tree which exists on the soil. So the root helps this part of the tree to remain steady, strong. This implied comparison between the anchor, which is basically a kind of tool, and the root is a case of metaphor. Metaphor, you know, is an important rhetorical device or figure of speech. This figure of speech is used in poetry in great amount. Now I shall move to the next line. The poet says, it is to be roped, tied, and pulled out. Now the question is, the root is under the soil. So what is to be what is to be roped? The use of the word rope as a verb here demands mention. The word roped here means tied with a rope. So what is tied with a rope? The stem of the tree is tied with a rope. Where is it tied with a rope? As close to the ground. So the stem is tied with a rope at its lowest point. So this image of tying has been reinforced by the verb tied. Then once again the poet repeats the verb pulled out. The verb pulled out occurs in the second line of this stanza as well. Then the poet takes recourse to a synonym of the verb pulled out. He uses snapped out, means dragged out with great force. So it is not at all easy to take out the root of a tree from the soil or pulled out entirely. So we have got three verbs: pulled out, snapped out, and pulled out. So these three verbs, or rather these two verbs, because the verb pulled out has been repeated here. So these two verbs mean the same thing. Here, the most important thing is the adverb entirely. So no part of the root has to be kept within the soil. The root has to be taken out completely. Where from has it to be taken out? Out from the earth cave. The word earth here means soil. It has to be taken out of the soil. We all know that root develops within the soil. Now, what is the significance of the word cave? A cave, as we all know, is a kind of structure, the opening of which or the entrance of which has a shape which looks like the U when it is turned upside. So the open face comes downward and the round part goes upward. The poet uses the word cave here to imply that after the root is dragged out of the soil, a kind of opening, a kind of gap is created in the soil, and this gap looks like the opening of a cave. In the next line, the poet says, and the strength of the tree exposed. Now, the word exposed means brought to light. So, something which was hidden now comes within view. And what is that thing? The thing is nothing but the root. So, it is to suggest the root that the poet uses the phrase, the strength of the tree. Indeed, it is the root which has enabled the tree to sustain the previous onslaughts meant for killing the tree. The onslaughts, as we all know, are giving the stem a simple jab of the knife and hacking the stem and cutting this hacked part. In the next line, the poet says, the source. So the root is the source of the strength of the tree. There are two adjectives with which the poet describes the root. The adjectives are white and wet. The root is white in color. We all know that when a tree is uprooted, we can see the root and we find that the root is white in color and it is wet, means moist. Why is the root moist? The root is moist because of the continuous flow of water within it. The water, we all know, flows upward in the tree. The root of the tree draws this water and transports it to the stem, to the branches, and even to the leaves. So, in the next line, the poet says, the most sensitive. The root has been selected as the part to be destroyed because it is the most sensitive part of the tree. So, killing or rather destroying this part will enable one to kill the tree. So, the fact that the root is the most sensitive part of the tree makes it the target of attack on the part of human beings. Then the poet says, hidden for years inside the earth. The tree was there. The stem could be seen, the branches could be seen, the leaves could be seen, the flowers could be seen, the fruits could be seen, but the root was not seen. That's why the poet says it was hidden from the human eye for years inside the earth. So the word years here refers to the span of life this tree has experienced. So the root was there in the soil, no one could see it. Now the tree has been uprooted fully, so the root becomes exposed and all can see it. This is what I have to say about the third stanza of this poem. Now let us move to the next page to take down some important word notes from this stanza. The first word note is no. By this word, the poet denies something. The second word is root, the part of the tree which grows under the soil. The third word note is pulled out. The verb means taken out. You may add with it, the working of force is evident here. The next word note, an important one, anchoring means sheltering. Here the root of the tree is equated to an anchor. The figure of speech used here is metaphor. Now I have discussed the significance of the word in detail while discussing the significance of the stanza. The next word is earth. The word is very simple. Here the word means soil. Next the word is roped, means tied with a rope. The use of the word rope as a verb deserves mention here. This is the point which I have already mentioned in my discussion part. The next word is tied. It means wound up. The next word note is snapped out, means drawn out forcibly. I have added a reference here for it is especially meant for those who have read this story, and of course who have not read this story must keep it in mind, because these references help one to enrich the comment portion of some explanation. Of course, explanation is something which is meant for the students of honors level and MA level. Now you may add with it this element that in R.K. Narayan's story Engine Travel, we read of the elephant snapping the rope with which it has been tied to the road engine. The next word note is entirely. It means completely. The next word note, an important one, earth cave, means the hollow in the soil which has the appearance of a cave. This hollow space is created when the root of a tree is dragged out of the soil. The next word note is strength. It means power. The next one is exposed, it means becomes visible. The next one is source, it means origin. The next one is wet, it means moist. You may add with it, the root of a tree is moist because of the continuous flow of water through it. I have discussed in detail about this flow of water. The next word note is sensitive, it means responsive to external stimulant. The next word note is years, it refers to a very long period of time. Of course, it refers to the lifespan of the tree. This, of course, is not the normal lifespan of the tree because the tree has been killed not in the natural process but by forcible human effort. The next word note is hidden, means remain without being seen by others. The next word note is inside. The final word, the word inside means under. The final word note is earth. The word earth here means soil. I have referred to this fact time and again in the course of this video presentation as well as in the course of my previous video presentations related to this poem. Now we shall move to the final part of this video presentation, that is the paraphrase of the third stanza of this poem. A probable paraphrase of this stanza can be like this. These are not the ways to destroy the life of a tree fully. Therefore, the root of the tree has to be taken out of the soil where it has been grained like an anchor. Or where it was grained like an anchor. Both things are true or right. You can write, you can use any of them. For doing so, the root has to be at first fastened tightly with a rope. The root has to be taken out fully from the soil so that the space occupied in the soil by the root will look like a pit. This pit has the shape of a cave. When this act of uprooting the tree fully becomes complete, one may say that the source of the energy of the tree lies bare. This root is the source of the life of the tree. It is white in color and moist in feeling. It is the most susceptible part of the tree. It was kept concealed under the soil for many years. Now this is what I have to say about the paraphrase of this stanza. Before I come to the valedictory note, here is an important declaration. So in the description of this video presentation, you will find a link. By clicking on the link, you will be able to go to my personal blog or website where you will be able to view and download materials related to this video presentation. That is the word notes of stanza 3 of the poem on killing a tree, as well as the paraphrase of this stanza of this poem. But first of all, the link will be provided only when the material will be put or will be uploaded in the website. So there is no certainty that whenever you will go to the description of this video presentation, you will be able to find the link. So be patient, and if you cannot find it in the first attempt, hopefully whenever you will go to the video presentation for the second time or in the third time, you will get the link. Now coming to this video presentation, on the valedictory note, I shall request you to subscribe to my channel, to share my video presentations to your friends, to put forward your comment and your queries in the comment section of this video presentation. I thank you. See you again in my next video presentation. Thank you.